welcome to my kitchen. And I bet you can't guess what I'm making. Well, not to mention the fact that you probably already saw the title of the video. But, you know, the tomatoes are just now starting to come on. I've got a ton of them coming on. As is the case when you plant Lemon Boy tomatoes, you get lots of tomatoes. But this year I also seem to be getting a lot of Cherokee Purples and a lot of Romas. So these are the Lemon Boys. I went ahead and I picked a few because, of course, the more you pick, the more you encourage to grow. And I would really like lots of tomatoes later in the summer. So we're going to go ahead and do some fried green tomatoes with some smoked sausage and some chicken tonight. And I thought I would show you how I do this. Fried green tomatoes are, you know, as old as the hills. This is not an original idea. Everybody has their own way of doing it, especially if you're from the South. So if you do it different than I do, great. This is how I do it.
That's your video.
And that's right. So I have about 7 small to, medium-sized green tomatoes that I have topped and tailed. I've taken the tops and the bottoms off of them. They have been scrubbed clean. And I'm going to slice those in a minute. But what I have over here, and this is not an exact science, I will give you a recipe, an approximation, but depending on the number of tomatoes you plan on coating and frying, then you may need more or less, depending. So I have a cup of flour. This is just all-purpose flour. I have a cup of flour, and then we have a breading station. A cup of flour, I have a couple eggs, I have some milk and water, and I also have over here a cup of cornmeal and a half a cup of flour.
I was yawning.
Oh, I'm sorry. And the reason I mix these two together is because you get a crispier crust that way. You can do all cornmeal. It doesn't matter. I like to use the flour in with the cornmeal. We're going to season up this last dredge with a teaspoon each onion powder, garlic powder, cracked black pepper, and a half a teaspoon of cayenne. So I'm going to go ahead and just drop that right in there. And I'm going to get my hands in here. And this is a hands-on deal, folks. This is not, let's get out all of our pretty proper utensils. This is a get your hands in here and do it. Your great-grandmother didn't do it any other way, I promise you. You know why? Because she had clean hands and they were the best tools that she had in the kitchen. So, and you know what else your great-grandmother didn't have? She didn't have plastic gloves. And you know what else? She didn't kill anybody. Unless she really did kill somebody, in which case then your story is different. You know.
Well, you probably wouldn't be here to tell us about it. So.
That's very true. You just never know. Okay, so let's deal with these eggs right quick. I'm just going to give these a little scramble. And of course, you can adjust those seasonings any old way you want. You don't have to use the same seasonings that I did. You can, I could have put onion powder in there. I just, honestly, I didn't feel like making another trip back to the closet, so. Okay, and this is just, you have to dip it in the flour before you dip it in the egg, because if you don't, nothing is going to stick to your tomatoes. Okay, when you slice the tomatoes, you're going to slice them about 1/4 of an inch thick. Wouldn't you say that's about 1/4 of an inch? I would say that.
Didn't these fall off of a plant that broke?
Some of them did, yes. What you're going to do then is you're going to take that tomato and you're going to dip it in the flour. You're going to dip it in the egg. You're going to dip it in the dredge. That's it. That's how hard these are, right? I have some oil heating on the stove.
Do it again. I was snoozing.
Okay. You're going to dredge it in the flour. What this does is it's going to absorb the residual moisture that's on the surface of the tomato, okay? You're going to dip it in the egg. You're going to dip it in the dredge. And this is one of those times where you're probably not going to follow the one wet hand, one dry hand rule. I didn't dip that really well, so I'm going to dip it back in the egg. There is nothing that says you can't do that. Okay? Flour. Make sure you get it coated really well. Egg. Make sure you get it coated really well. And cornmeal. And pat it in.
You need to be left-handed.
I need to be left-handed? Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you can't see anything. And then what I'm going to do, to save a little bit of time, let me rinse this hand off. I'm going to come over here to the stove. Are you good? Can you unplug? Or I tell you what, let me go. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to coat all these tomatoes, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what happens when they go into the hot oil.
We gotta let the camera charge.
Yeah, camera low, battery's low. Okay, I'm going to put some of these tomatoes in the oil. I got them all coated, and I like to lower them in there. I think I may have gotten my oil just a skosh too hot, but once we get all these in there, it's going to cool the oil down, and I've also lowered the heat just a little bit. I don't use the frying thermometer. I've been doing this long enough that, and it doesn't take very long. I'm just going to reach in front of you because I'm going to get some paper towels in it. You can hear, there's probably, let's see, beautiful.
Are you burning the thing?
Why is it dinging? Was it dinging? Alright. These are done. It doesn't take long. And if you have your oil hot enough, those are perfect actually. Wow. Just a couple of minutes in that hot oil, and then you're just going to take them out and you're going to remove them to a plate lined with paper towel or tray or something to get them to start draining. And I have sunflower oil that's heated up here. And I only buy imported sunflower oil. It comes from Europe. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue frying these off, and we'll be back. Okay, we're all done frying. I don't like to fry on camera. I don't like to fry, period. I hate it. But some things you gotta fry, and fried green tomatoes are one of those things. What I like to do, since you have to fry in batches because you can't fit everything in the pan at once, is I really like to put a baking sheet in the oven and set it to about 200 degrees. That way you can just drain off, then pop them in the oven so they stay warm. The other thing that I went ahead and did, and let me grab these tongs, honey, is I had a box of sliced mushrooms in the fridge that needed to get used. I bought them for one purpose and didn't ever use it for the thing I intended to, because we ended up doing something different that night. So I used up the remainder of the breading and the egg, and I fried off these mushroom slices. And these are kind of in the style of Zaxby's, if you're familiar with Zaxby's. We just got one in our community, and they do fried chicken and fried everything. And the fried mushrooms are about the best thing on their menu, if you ask me. Their chicken, not so great. Yeah. But my girls like them, so I thought I'm going to go ahead and give this a try. And do you know, this is a very close approximation to the Zaxby's mushrooms, if I do say so myself. So, with the exception of the fact that mine are more flavorful and less greasy. So in any case, there you have it. Some fried green tomatoes and some fried mushroom slices. And you can, I like to salt these just a little bit. There you go. And everybody can salt their own, but everybody's probably going to dip this in something. Ranch dressing or Thousand Island or something. That's up to them. So that's how easy fried green tomatoes are to make. And I hope that if you get that desire, that you go ahead and give that a try. I'll put an approximate recipe. It's mostly a technique more than a recipe. I'll put a recipe on my website, and that's NoreensKitchen.com. I thank you so much for joining me in my kitchen this evening on this very hot Saturday afternoon. And until next time, I'll see ya.